Here we are. Welcome to video number 24 we are now. This one, like a lot of them, is a series of short clips edited together. I still haven't managed to find out how to fast forward on the boring bits, so you'll have to bear with me on that. And it was filmed over 3 or 4 days, so there'll be repetition in my comments and narrative, which you'll have to bear with me on. Anyway, hope you enjoy it. I narrowly avoided a disaster, which you'll see, where the primary chain tensioner was about 3 turns away from coming completely adrift and going into the clutch sprocket, which would have locked up the engine and goodness knows what. So anyway, enjoy it. Hope you find it educational. Anyway, so see you in a minute. Okay, so here's a problem which I've got to investigate. I like to listen to the engine when I pull up now and then, just to see what's going on, that everything sounds all right. And today I have an intermittent clacking coming from the chain case. So I thought, well, I'll take this off and have a look. Sounds like the chain is loose and knocking against something. But when I look at the adjuster, you can see the whole thing is flapping around. I don't know whether something's broken or if the bolts come loose or what. So looks like I've got to take all the chain case off and have a look at the outer chain case. So hopefully I haven't got to get into the clutch or anything like that. I don't know what's involved in it yet. I'm just going to go and get the manual. If all else fails, read instructions. So we'll see. Right, so we've removed the clutch cover just to make sure that there's nothing bad going on in there. That all looks quite nice. Everything is everything's stable and fixed in place. And using a 40, I think a Torx 40, I've loosened off the drain screw underneath, which is, as you can see, is now hand tight. So we'll undo that, get that out. Bit of a murky looking brew. Not sure how old that is, as I can't remember when it was last done. So we'll let that run out while I have a coffee, and then we'll start undoing all these Allen bolts all the way around. I noticed this one here at the front there is helpfully behind the footrest bracket, so I'm hoping that using one of these ball-ended Allen keys and then an adjustable spanner on the short end, I should be able to get that undone. But we'll see how that goes. So we'll give that a couple of minutes to drain and then come back to it. Right, quick aside there, I've washed off the drain plug, which looks like a tapered thread there, look. So I have to be careful how tight you tighten that back up, because if you strip the thread that will all end in tears. There wasn't much swarf at all on the magnet. I'm not sure what that little ball is there. There's a sort of seems to press in like it's on a spring or something. So I'll have to read the manual about that in a moment. But I need to make sure that I put it back into approximately the same tide mark that's there now. So we'll leave that alone. It's down to just dripping, and I'm off for a coffee, as I said. Right, so you can see that I've removed the front footboard, which was 1 bolt there and 2 there, but the top bolt was behind the chrome cover. So I've had to remove the gear levers, remove the chrome cover, and that has made it a lot easier here. I've taken out all the screws and put them in a piece of paper with a rough sketch of the chain case, so I know where each bolt goes, like that. They all seem to be quite clean, so I'll just give them a quick rinse in petrol, and that'll be that. So I'm going to put these to one side so that we don't lose them. Put those there for the sake of the video. And now we'll see how this comes off, which seems to be like that. So there's the bolt. That's the missing bolt that we couldn't, that I had to find. So hopefully, I need to just stop all that oil going everywhere. Hopefully that'll just be a clean up and put back together again. Although the thread is quite badly damaged, I'll have to give that some thought and have a look at it more closely. So just bear with me while I put everything down which is dripping oil, and then I can work properly and a bit more cleanly. So I'm going to turn you off while I have a look at that bolt, because the thread is has been mullered, and I don't think it's going to be reusable, so we may have to come to a halt there. While you're on, I'll just show you the problem. Look, you can see the whole thing is loose. There is a groove in the shoe, but I can't see if it's both sides or just where it was. Yeah, there's not really much I can do now. I need to see if I can get one from Guildford Harley, look in the parts catalogue. So meanwhile, it's a case of washing out. Oh, it doesn't look too bad. Oil's a bit metal flake, but I would expect that for something coming loose. I think I've been very lucky that it hasn't got any worse than that. I think it's just a case of rinsing off around the outsides, and then putting it back together, retightening it. This should be 3/4 of an inch of play, but you can see what was happening was I was hearing this at odd random intervals where it was hitting, but thank goodness I don't think there's any damage, because just lucky. So I just recommend that every now and then when you come in from riding, you just take your crash helmet off and listen to the engine, because that's what I did, just to make sure everything was all right. And it was just because I did that I heard the clatter. You know, but if you don't take any notice normally, then if you're not very careful, you just simply miss that, and it just carries on destroying itself when you're not aware of it. So that's food for thought. So I've taken the bottom screw out, because as you saw, this whole adjuster was loose like that, which made me suspicious about the bottom mounting bolt. And you can see that it's actually bent. So although the thread doesn't seem to be damaged, the fact that it was that far out and is physically bent, I need a whole new set of, well, a pair of screws. So I've got to find out what the part number is and get those on order. So I'm afraid the bike's going to be off the road. Okay, so it's about 3 days or 4 days later, and the new parts have arrived. Hooray! However, I notice that the new replacement bolts are, you can see there, they're about 1/4 of an inch or 6 mil shorter than the original bolts, which, considering the problem was that the original bolts unscrewed, this is I'm not really happy with that. So what I've decided to do, let's have a look. I don't know if you can see that. I've got the phone on the tripod at the moment. Let me turn it over for you so you'll see it, but it's upside down. Now you can see that the bolt hole there goes right through the primary chain case and out the other side, and so does the bottom one, which is there. So because there's no problem with the length, I don't know why they didn't make that 1/2 an inch longer, or at least 1/4 of an inch or 6 mil longer, because there's nothing round the back of it which should give you any problem. So what I've decided to do is put blue Loctite on the threads, because whilst I'm a bit concerned about whether a Phillips screwdriver can undo blue Loctite, I'm more concerned with the fact that it fell out in the first place. So what I'm going to do is I've got brake cleaner here, and I'll give that a good rinse out, and then apply a couple of drips of blue Loctite on there and do it up as tight as I can with the tools I've got. So let's put you on pause while I get that organised, Right, so I've bought some Loctite, and this is the sort of thing that irritates me. It says this is red Loctite, and it says permanently secures studs resisting severe vibration. Okay, so that's definitely red. And then this one just says thread lock and sealant, so that's blue. But you notice that the red Loctite has a blue label on it, and the blue Loctite has a purple or ready label on it. Go figure. So anyway, that's a bit irritating, but the tools wise, the best I can come up with, let's get back to the bike. The best I can come up with is a screwdriver that's a good fit. Let's put you back here again. Where are we? Over there. All right, so this is a Halford small kit, which is a quarter drive with adjustable, adjustable bits in it, and this little quarter drive ratchet, and that doubles up as an extension. But that's a good fit on the screws. So what I'm going to do is I've given it a good blowout with this brake cleaner, and the threads are nice and shiny in there. So let's get our Loctite out. I'm not going to put a lot on because, as I don't know if I mentioned before, but whilst I'm worried about whether I'll be able to undo it with too much Loctite on, I'm more concerned that if it undoes itself. Okay, that's sealed up. Obviously that's for packaging. Be back in a moment. Okay, that's the smallest notch cut off. So another reason why I'm a little bit concerned is that these threads only screw in about 6mm of aluminium. I think that's plenty. I'm just going to put one splodge on there, but the threads are only about 6mm before they come out to the back of the chain case, so you can't go graunching up. And there's nothing at all in the workshop manuals about these screws for some reason. Okay, so that's all hip and groovy there. It's gone in nicely. I'll just leave that a little bit loose and do the same thing on the other one. Just put a little the blob there might be too much, but hey ho, I'd rather it stayed in there than fell out. And you can see that's a nice fit on there. Oh, well, it would be if I can get the thing past the tensioner. There we go. Right, so what I'm going to do is give that as tight as I dare. There's nothing, they don't even mention this back block in the manual. I don't know why. It's just something which they assume is there. There's no torque settings given or anything. So I'm just going to give it a good, that won't come undone job like that. Okay, so what do we got now? Okay, we are a bit slack. It's supposed to be 3/4 of an inch there. So I'll slacken this off. Let's have a look. Good job. Gotcha. Okay, that's a bit higher than before. I'm not sure. They say, I'm just going to double check on that, but I think that may need to come down one notch. I don't like it that slack, to be honest. Right, okay, let's tighten that up a minute. Right, that's a lock nut there, so it doesn't need to be graunched deadly tight, and that's a sort of sensible amount. I think it's supposed to be 3/4, so looking at that top of that link up to there, I would have said, yeah, I would have said that was 3/4. I'm going to live with that. So I think that's ready to put the cover on. I have washed off, I've removed the old gasket, as you can see, and carefully scraped off with a steel blade, which you shouldn't really do, but this is a new blade and it's sharp, and I've carefully done it. I haven't gone silly, and so there's no notches for the oil to get out of. Okay, so I'm going to take this new gasket out and start assembling the whole thing. While I'm here, I'll give this clutch a good wiggle. There's a little bit in there, you can see the chain moving. I'm not sure how much there should be on an old bike. I guess if that's a bearing, there shouldn't be anything at all. So that's something I've got to bear in mind for future. I'll have a look in the manual. I will put it together and use it for now, but I'm going to have a look in the manual, do some research on how tight that clutch should be. Because, you know, I mean, it's an old bike, I guess, but anyway. Let me start putting stuff together, and then you can come back and have another look. Right then, so I've put on the gasket there. Look, you can see it resting in place. It's resting on that peg there, and there's a peg there, so that's just resting there. I've given the surfaces a wash down with brake cleaner and a clean rag. Over here, and these two center pegs, which are the supports for the middle of the cover plus the inspection cover, it comes with two little gaskets which I scraped off, and I see that there were two in the packet with double-sided sticky tape, so that's got to be for what they're there for, to stop them dropping off. Otherwise you've got to try and jiggle the screws through and hope that it holds in place. So that all seems to be good. You can see I've cleaned the cover inside, so all the black has gone, so at least it's half-hearted chrome there now. And I've put the drain plug back in while it's under while it's sort of under controlled things rather than laying on the floor. I did it up sensibly tight. You can't go at too much because it's a tapered thread, and as I say, that will end in tears if you over tighten it. While we're here, the oil needs to be filled up to that point there, which is the bottom of the clutch plates. I believe from memory I put, because I didn't know any better when I first bought the bike, I put too much oil in, because I thought too much is better than not enough, and always had trouble finding neutral. So this time round I'm going to be careful to fill it just up to that line and no more, and hopefully that will enable me, the clutch, not to stick, so I can find neutral more readily. So anyway, let's put this back together. Got all my bolts here on the floor ready. I'm not going to Loctite any of the bolts because they're all on view here when I polish it anyway, and I'll soon see if something starts coming loose. So let's put it in. Oh, wait a minute. I need to just oil that spindle there, because that turns in this hole. So I'm just going to get a little bit of lube, which I just remembered. Good job. Get sidetracked doing this filming. So let's do that. And we'll put a little bit of a glug in there around it. Oops. There we go. And wipe that around the hole and wipe that over there. Got to help, that sort of thing, hasn't it, I think. I mean, it's not assembly lube or anything, but I mean, it only gets a whiz now and then when you start it, so it should be quite happy like that. Okay, so let's get putting this together. Final check over, everything's good. We checked, give that a wag around and that a wag. I think that must be playing the splines. I'm just going to give that a quick wipe because that's gone onto the face of the gasket there. Not that I think that makes any difference, but right. Okay, right, so that's nipped the gasket. Now what I want to do is get one to hold it in place, so I'll spin that in like that. So that's holding the gasket in place. So this will now enable me to get my other bolts in. If I can just get the oil off of that, which went everywhere. Put the lid on there, so when I kick it over, it doesn't matter. Okay, so let's work round then. What I'm intending to do is spin these all in finger tight, so I know that all the gasket holes are, you know, the screws have gone through the gasket holes and everything's in place where it should be. And then I can go and look at what the torque settings are. I think they're very low because they're only 6mm bolts or quarter bolts, as us Americans say. Okay, so that's just that tight, look. Now I'll go around them all systematically, and then I've got to turn you off while I go and look and see what the torque should be. I mean, I've never bothered with this on an aerial, my old English motorbikes, because the aluminium was good quality. I don't know what American aluminium is like. Certainly my BMW, it was made out of cheese, I think. And it's very easy to strip the threads, and the whole bike was held together with Loctite. So I've got to be careful with these just in case, because the last thing I want to do is, ouch, is have to start taking the thing apart and putting in helicoils. Don't even know where my helicoil stuff is. Okay, that'll do for a minute for that one. Now there is a tightening sequence for these, which seems to be starting from the middle here. I think it's these two, I think, and then working outwards. So you spread the cover out like that, and then do the same thing going that way, rather than traditionally the other way that normally happens is you start in the middle and gradually work further apart like that. So you do the same thing spreading it out, because the idea is to compress the aluminium outwards like that, rather than doing the ends and then trying to squash the middle in when you fix the ends down. So and it's the same with cylinder heads and things like that, the same principle. You start in the middle and squash them outwards. You know, especially as we got a fresh gasket in there. So I'm going to nip these up. And then I'll get the manual and show you that. I'm quietly confident. I think this is all going to be, I'm pleased that I didn't have to go in any further into the workings, because I want to go out for there's a Harley ride out, the local chapter. They go out on Thursdays, and I'm hoping to have the bike ready for that. It's Wednesday, or is it Wednesday today or Tuesday? I lost the plot now, I'm retired. Anywho, look, I'll turn you off while I go and look up what these readings should be. Right, so you can see that, as I said, the tightening sequence, look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you basically fix it down in the middle and then spread the cover out to the ends. And then once you've done 7, look, going the other way, you've got 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So you don't fix the ends, then try and squash the middle in. You squash it from the inside outwards. Now the torque settings on it are 12 to 13 and a half Newton meters, that is. So I've set it to about 13.2 or something like that, I forget now. I put it up the high end because it's a new gasket which must bed in, I suspect. So I've kept it up towards that. If it was an old gasket that I was reusing for emergencies, or there was nothing wrong with it, then I would recheck them just to 12 or something like that. So there we are. I don't know if you can see that. Where's the camera lens? So that's on 10, 15, so about 13 and a half. I'm not worried about the torque in here from a long screwdriver. I've just got to get past the footrest. Don't want to overthink it. It's just a 6mm bolt, so I mean, I wouldn't even bother normally. I just do it up by feel. So let's nip them up gradually. I think I'm going to do. Where's the other one? Go on. There we go. I'm going to go top and bottom. Okay, so that's number 2. So 1, 2, 3. Four. 5. 6. 7. And then likewise for the back end, working away from the middle. I don't know which way it was, but it doesn't matter, as long as you work from the middle outwards. Don't know where I got up to. I think I did that one. Yeah. Ooh. Get in there. And then last but not least, number 12. Come on. Thank you. Okay, so that's all good. So the next thing to do will be to get this wonderful gadget that I've never actually used, but looks like it doesn't fit. That's supposed to slide in there and give you a funnel, but I don't know what that's supposed to be. It blocks the hole up on the inside, but the lip goes over the top, so I guess the oil should stay in where it's supposed to go. And I've got to fill it up, if you remember, to there, but on the bottom. You can just about see the end of it. I might get a torch in there and do that a bit more slowly. I don't know if you need to see me do that. Probably not. I don't know if this is worth it. Oh well, okay. So let's see how we get on with that. I'm using Formula Plus, which is the Harley Davidson proper oil for primary chain cases. I don't know what the difference is. I mean, in the old Ariels and BSAs, you used to put straight 40 in, if I remember. And my 1929 Ariel, the gearbox was a mixture of 50-50 oil and grease to make a soup that got flicked up onto the gears and then dropped back down because it was soupy. And that worked for them for many years. Anywho, there we are, I digress. Right, I'm going to turn this off and fill this up. You don't need to see me tipping it in. You can do if it puts your mind at rest. I'm going to stop doing this for a moment because the bike has to be level, and I'm currently on the jack just to keep it stable, so I need to take it off the jack and have it standing on the floor properly to get the correct level. Okay, that is running in, so, and it's not going all over the floor, so I'll turn you off for now. Okay, just to sum up, there wasn't any point in you seeing me put it back on, but I put this footrest back on with the two bolts through there, and the engine guard bolt runs right into here. Then two little screws to hold this plate on, one in there and one just about there. Can't see it from here through the viewfinder. Gear levers, obviously. I gave that a bit of a clean up while I was in there. Then inspection cover back on because we've done all the tensioning, so there's no point in having that off. And then I've put the old cover on, filled up the oil to the bottom of the clutch as per the instructions, and it's only see if I can come back here to show you, there's only a tiny puddle in the bottom which only comes to about here, across the bottom here, so there's not much in there at all. I'm a bit concerned about it because they gave me a litre, a bottle full of it, which is over here somewhere now, and I had some in the old bottle, but I've only used that much, which is what, just under half a litre, 0.4 of a litre. Although there was some in the old one, so if you said okay, that much in the old one, we're still only up to about 0.6, and there was a bit left from previously, so I guess that's another, so I'm about 0.2 of a litre shy of what came out. But then I have had trouble selecting neutral, which could be because I've overfilled it and the clutch plates are sticking together. So what I'm going to do is take it out for a test ride. Dark over here now. The time is 5:15 in the evening, and it's dark, so but anywho, not that that really matters, but I'll go out for a short test ride and see what it behaves like. Anyway, hope that was educational for you. I shall certainly be monitoring things a bit more closely, and just to recap, when you come home from a ride, take your crash helmet off and just have a listen, because you never know what you might hear. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that. Just wanted to say now, as a closure, that neutral is now far easier to select in all situations. After my test ride, the difference was noticeable immediately. So it is very important, I think, as to keep the oil level correct. I think if you overfill it so that the bottom of the clutch is dipping in the oil, as the plates separate, the oil must go up inside them, in between, and cause the plates to slightly glue together, giving you clutch drag, which is what makes all the difference when trying to select neutral. Next time, the next video to come up will be an informational video, because I have sold one of the bikes, because I'm going to buy a new one. Hooray! So I'll tell you all about that in I don't know when, couple of days or a week's time or so. Okay, cheers then, bye.